So the corporate world is waking up. We'll get started as they join in. Okay, recording this one. So you're going to start basically with feet all the way up, working into the lower back today. So our first movement is just imagine there's a straight line between your nose and the screen in front of you. That's 12 o'clock basically. Your right foot is going to step across that line, come back, and then we're going to do the same thing this time. The right foot turns it out. So you're just focusing on the arch of your right foot, crossing that line. So the line is between the nose and the screen, and I just turn the toe in and out. So I'm trying to warm up my foot and my ankle. Try and make that foot as relaxed as you can as you step into and out of. And gradually, as we do this movement, we'll start to sink a little bit lower. And as we sink a little bit lower, we're going to get more work into your knee and a little bit more work into your hip. Remember, you're balancing on the big toe of the back foot as we step into and out of. That will help you keep your balance. Okay, so we're going to do 2 more ins and 2 more outs. Good. So last one. Well done. Okay, now do the same thing then with left foot. So your left foot, toes in, come back, and then your left foot, toes out. So again, you toe in, good, and then again, you toe out. So nice and slowly, just crossing over that line. Remember that line is from your nose to the screen. The arch of the foot dissects the line. We're trying to warm up the foot, the ankle, and gradually get that knee and that hip working. And your toe is turning in. That movement comes from the hip, not from the foot. Balancing on the big toe of the right foot. 4 more in total. 1, 2, 3, good. The last one. Well done. Okay, so have your feet about hip width apart. All we're going to do now is just push ourselves up onto tiptoe and then slowly lower back down. So you push up onto tiptoe and then slowly lower back down. The idea is you try and make yourself as tall as you can, but you're trying to stay balanced in that tiptoe position. So you feel that in your calves as you push up, so you feel the calves shorten, and you're pushing tall. Okay, in that tiptoe position, you try and roll out to your little toe, back to the big toe, and then come back down. So you push up, out to the little toe, back to the big toe, and lower down. So again, how tall can you be? Push out, roll in, back down. Good. So you're pushing up, roll out to the little toe, back onto the big toe, and then back down. 2 more. Good. Last one. Good. And then rest. Okay, so then your right foot goes forward. You bend your right knee, and you push your left heel down. My hands are going to go onto my right thigh. So I'm trying to do a stretch from my heel up to the back of my knee on that left leg. Now in that position, all I'm going to do is slide my hips from side to side. So I'm leaning into this right leg, but I'm pushing my back heel down, my left heel down, and I'm trying to feel that stretch go almost from the inside to the outside of the calf. But I'm also working here in the hips, just waking up the hips and the lower back cycle. Good. So feel that pushing that heel down, feeling that stretch in your calf. Okay, so 2 more. Good, and then rest. Okay, so we change legs. So left foot goes forward, you bend the left knee, push the right heel down, hands go onto your left thigh, and again, slide the hips from side to side. So pushing the heel down, good. Sliding the hips across. Again, how hard can you push those hips across, but all the time you're pushing your right heel into the ground, feeling that stretch in your calf, but also feel that stretch in your calf change from inside to outside. Good. 2 more. Good. And then rest. Okay, so hands now go onto your hips. You step your left foot back. As you step your left foot back, you bring your chest forward and you keep your right leg straight. So I'm lifting up the toes of my right foot. I'm sitting back onto my left heel, but I'm trying to keep my hips and my shoulders square to one another. So I'm feeling a stretch from my right heel up to the back of my right knee, and then from my right knee up into my hip. But also if I push the hips back and bring the chest forward, I'll start to feel it across the lower back. Again, just work with your range of movement. Okay, so from there we extend that stretch. We do that by taking the hands down to the toes. So we push those hands down, push the hips back, bring the chest forward. Still bringing that toe towards the base. Good. So that lengthens the hamstring. We feel that stretch. Good. Much more dynamic now as we drive those hands down towards the toe. Okay, it's the same principle, but what you're going to do now is take your hands to the inside of that right foot. So as I push my hands to the inside, my hips push across to the right. So I'm changing the emphasis of the stretch again. Still sitting back on my left heel. Yeah. So now we change it again by taking the hands to the outside of that right leg. So as I push my hands to the outside of that right leg, my hips go to the left. Again, changes the emphasis of the stretch. Gets a little bit more work now on this left leg. We'll do 3 more. Good. And then rest. Okay, so same thing, and hands on hips. Right foot goes back. Left leg stays straight. Bring the chest forward. So just ease into it. So we're hinging at the hips. That's why the hands on the hips to start off with. So just going to be push the hips back. As you push the hips back, the chest comes forward. And your left big toe pulls towards the face. So we're feeling that stretch from your heel to your hip. Just hinging at the hips. Good. With that lengthening from heel to hip. Good. Now we've warmed it up slightly, we'll then make that movement more dynamic by taking the hands down to the toe. So you reach down, hips go back as far as you can, fingertips reach down. Good. And how low down can you reach? How far back can you sit? Good. And then we change the emphasis of the stretch by taking the hands to the inside of that left foot. So I'm pushing my hips to the left. I turn my shoulders to the right slightly. As I do that, sitting back on my right heel still. Good. Then we do the same by turning my hands this time to the outside. My hands go to the outside of my left foot. I push my hips to the right, my shoulders turn to the left. You can just change the stretch slightly. 3 more. Good, and that's okay. So have your feet now a little bit wider. So they're wider than the hip width apart, but not too wide. Okay, hands go onto your hips. So now I'm going to sit onto my left heel. Chest comes forward. Come back up to standing. Then I sit back onto my right heel. So both feet stay flat on the floor. You're trying to keep your knees from traveling forward. All we're doing is pushing the hips back as far as you can. As the hips go back, the chest comes down towards your thigh. And what we're starting to feel is a stretch in the inside of that straightened leg. So I want you to imagine the straightened leg is traveling backwards and down. I'm trying to keep my shoulders square to my hips. And each time I'm just pushing those hips further back and lower down. Good. Push the hips further back and lower down. Again, trying to feel a stretch the inside of the straightened leg, but also in the lower back, in the hips. Good. So you can do 2 more. Good. And rest. Okay. So still working with feet, knees, and hips. Left foot faces 12 o'clock. My right heel now turns over the line of my left big toe. So you're going to try and stay as tall as you can and try and get your hips and your shoulders around to face 9 o'clock. So my left foot keeps facing towards 12. And again, just focus on the arch of your left foot. Try and feel that foot arch as you turn that right heel over the line of your left big toe. I have the feeling that my left shoulder pulls backwards, which brings my right shoulder forwards. And as a result, I'll feel that stretch also in lower back, but also between shoulder blades. Good. But make sure, because your left foot always wants to move out, just like mine, you're trying to keep the left big toe down, the left heel, and you just corkscrew that movement from the heel up into the hip. 2 more. Good, and then rest. Okay, so same thing. So right foot faces forward to 12 o'clock. Left heel goes over the line of your right big toe. You're trying to get your hips and your shoulders around to face 3 o'clock. And just easing into it, and gradually, as you warm up, you can start to turn around more. So I have the feeling now that my right shoulder pulls backwards, which brings my left shoulder forwards. And that drives my hips and torso around. And I'm trying to feel my right foot arch as I do that movement. Good. Standing tall, not leaning into this, staying as upright as you can. 2 more. Good, and then rest. Okay, so my right foot, excuse me, now is facing 12 o'clock. My left heel now goes behind me to try and face 6 o'clock. And I come back to standing. So I'm just opening out, trying to get my left foot to point all the way back towards 6. And I'm starting with a long lunge so I can get balanced. Again, we're keeping that right foot facing 12 all the time. So we'll now start to feel a bit of stretch into the hips, maybe the inside of your right knee. Weight goes onto your left foot. You're turning it out towards 6. And as you become more accomplished, then you just shorten that lunge. So the shorter the lunge, the closer the feet get together, the more the pull there is on the inside of that right knee and the inside of that right hip. Good. And again, you're trying to stay balanced. Because again, this will just throw you off balance. So this is again working the buttocks, so we're opening up through the groin as we turn into and out. Again, don't go too hard if you've got painful knees. This is encouraging your right foot to roll in and your right knee to roll in. 1 more. Good. Okay, so now my left foot faces 12 o'clock. I start with that long lunge, so I just open out. Then just stepping there, keeping that left foot facing forward towards 12, trying to get that right foot to open out towards 6. So once you've got the rhythm of that, you can then start to shorten that range, but still stay balanced. That's the trick. So imagine you've got a line on the floor, you're just trying to get your feet to go onto that line. So the more you pull that right foot around towards 6, the greater the pull on the inside of your left hip and your left knee. Good. Go within your rhythm again. As you get better, you shorten it. So it almost becomes like a Charlie Chaplin stance. Don't shorten it so much that you hurt the inside of your left knee. Good. 3 more. Good. Last one. Good. And then resting there. Okay, so in your own time, you can go onto your back, onto a mat now, please. Not just on the floor, that's comfortable. So you're lying down, while waiting for Matthew to get onto the floor, just bring both knees onto the chest and just rock gently from side to side. So your neck and shoulders stay relaxed.
Oh yeah, it's already on the floor.
You're already on the floor, are you?
Yeah, I was first down.
Somebody help him out. Bring the knees towards your chest and just rock gently from side to side. So you're putting those knees towards you, your neck and shoulders relaxed, and you're just rocking. So you're feeling your massaging your lower back. Okay, now we're going to circle the knees, keeping those feet together. Again, we're trying to warm up those hips, but also feel you're massaging the lower back into the ground. And then change direction. Good. Big circles there, keeping the knees together, not falling off your mat or falling off the floor, even worse. Good. And now keep your feet together. You're just going to separate those knees. So the knees go out wide. You pull the knees together, you push them out. Feet stay together, big circles. Good. Nice big circles. You push those knees away, but the feet stay together. Good. Again, change direction. Really pushing those knees out, but keeping the feet together. Good. And then like I said, okay, so now you're going to let your right leg just go along the length of the ground as you pull the left knee towards your chest. So the goal here is to try and imagine that you're pushing the right heel away from you, trying to get the back of the right leg touching the floor as you're bringing this left thigh up onto your chest. So we're feeling stretching the left hip, but also maybe feeling something down the front of that right leg. Good. And then we change. So the left leg goes down, now bring that right knee up, and you hold onto the knee as you push the left heel away from you. And imagine you getting the back of the left leg as close to the floor as you can as you bring this right knee up towards your chest. So you're focusing on 2 things, pushing the left heel away, bringing the right knee towards your chest. Good. Holding. And then change, that right leg goes down, and your left knee comes across towards your right shoulder. So you're pulling it all the way across, trying to feel that stretch around the outside of your left hip. Still pushing that right heel away, imagining the back of the right leg is touching the floor. Good. And again, we slowly change. So now the left leg goes on the ground, right knee comes up, and you're pulling it across towards your left shoulder. Again, just feel that stretch on the outside of the right hip. Good. Keep holding. Good, and then down. Okay, so now both legs lengthen along the floor. You take your arms out now to 45 degrees and the palms face down. So you're going to have your left heel resting on the big toe of your right foot. Now from there, keeping your shoulder blades on the ground, you roll your left hip up off the ground. So the hip is up off the ground, and get my hand is there. But the idea is you're keeping your left shoulder down. You're trying to turn your head to look along the length of your left arm as you put tension in both of your thighs. To do that, just pull the toes towards the face and really push those shoulder blades down as you keep imagining lifting your hip as high as you can. So it's again a corkscrew effect from heel to shoulder. Good. Real stretch in the lower back. Good. And then slowly, slowly uncurl. Left heel goes down. Right heel onto left big toe. Shoulders stay down. Roll that right hip up and over. Turn the head to look over the right shoulder. Keep pulling the toes towards the face. Hands stay down. Shoulders stay down. Hips go high. Keep breathing. So then how high can you get the hip? Good. And then slowly, slowly down. Right heel back onto the floor, left heel back onto right big toe. Again, hip goes up and over, shoulders stay down. You look along the length of that left arm. Keep breathing as you look along that arm, keeping the hips up high. Good. Hold there. And then uncurl. So last time, right heel onto left big toe. Hip goes up and over, turn the head to look over that right shoulder. Putting the toes towards the face, folding. Good. And then resting there. Okay, so you're going to bend both knees now. So my left foot stays flat on the floor. I'm actually going to raise my right leg straight to the end, put both hands behind my right knee. Now the feeling is I'm pushing my right hip into the ground as I'm pushing my right heel to the ceiling, putting the right big toe towards my face. At the same time, just pulling that leg towards me slightly. So again, try and feel that stretch from your hip to your heel. You probably feel most of it in the back of your knee. Good. Now from that position there, keeping the hands behind me, you bring the right thighs close to your chest as you can, keeping the hips close to the floor. And then from there, you just try and straighten the leg. So again, as you can see, it's not going to straighten very much. So unless you're a prima ballerina, it's not really going to happen. The idea is to try and get that leg as straight as you can, all the time pulling that thigh down onto your chest. That really hits the belly of the hamstring. Good. And then resting there. So that leg goes down. So do the same with the left. So the left leg goes straight up in the air. You push the hip into the ground. You push the heel to the ceiling. You pull the toe towards the face. You feel that lengthening in the back of the left leg. All the time the heel's going to the ceiling, the toe to the face, the hip into the ground. You're pulling the leg towards you slightly. Good. And then keeping the hands behind the knee, you bring that thigh down onto your chest. And then from there, you look to straighten the leg. Good. So you're putting down, you look to straighten. Good. And then resting there. Okay, now take that left knee and cross it over your right knee so you've got a tight fit. Take the arms out wide so the palms are facing up this time. So the wrists are in line with your shoulders. Knees now go to the right as your head goes to the left. But your goal is to keep the shoulder blades on the floor. Pull back to center. Knees go to the left as your head goes to the right. Shoulder blades stay on the floor. So we're keeping those knees as close together as you can. So that makes the stretch really big. But again, make sure the shoulder blades stay down. That's your goal. There to see how far you can take those knees across. And as you take the knees across, head turns to look along the opposite arm. But again, feel that you're using your core muscles to pull the weight of the legs back to center. So nice and slowly, in as you go across, out as you pull back. One more in each direction. Good. And then resting, you uncross, and then your right knee goes over your left. Shoulders stay down, same principle. Knees go one way, pull back to center, head goes the other. So nice and slowly, in as you go, out as you pull back. Nice and slowly, in as you go across, out as you pull back. Keeping those shoulders pinned down. So the idea is if you have one part of the body fixed while the other part moves, then we get a stretch. if both parts move, we've just got movement. So fixing the shoulder blades in the ground as we move those knees and hips across gives us that stretch in the lower back and across the chest. If the shoulders move, then we lose the stretch. Good. One more. And then rest. Okay, so slowly down from there, onto your hands and knees now, please. So we're going to kneel down with your knees directly below your hips and your wrists directly below your shoulders. So all we're going to do from here, first of all, keeping the shoulders still, just slide the hips across from side to side. So the feeling is you've got a flat back, and you can put a tray of drinks on small little back, and you couldn't spill the drinks because you're only sliding from side to side. As you transfer the weight from one knee to the other, and the shoulders stay fairly still. Now from there, let the shoulders join in. So as my hips go to the right, my head and shoulders go to the left. As my hips go to the left, my head and shoulders go to the right. And your goal is to try and see both of your feet as you turn to look behind you. That's it. So you're pushing your hips as far across as you can, and then you turn to look over your shoulder, looking at your heels. Good. Two more. And so still working on that lower back. You pull your tummy in, your chin goes onto your chest, you arch your back slowly. You then come back to neutral. So you're tucking the tailbone underneath, so you engage your core, chin goes onto your chest, and the feeling is you're lifting your rib cage as high as you can. So really feel that this is an abdominal exercise, so you're really hollowing in that tummy. Good. The more you tuck the tailbone underneath, the bigger the stretch in the lower back. The closer your chin gets to your chest, again, the bigger the stretch in your upper back. But really exaggerate, lifting the rib cage as high as you can, tucking that tailbone underneath. Two more. Good. And rest. Okay, now from that position there, we're just going to push the right heel away. And as you push that right heel away, imagine that your hips and shoulders stay parallel to the floor. Come back and then do the same. Left heel pushes away. The feeling is your heel stays in line with your hip. And as you push away, you feel that your tummy tightens, but the weight doesn't shift from your knees to your hands. You try and keep that weight evenly balanced throughout the whole body. Two more. Good. Okay, so keeping the knee still. This time you're going to raise your arm and have the palm face in. Try and get your arm in line with your ear. Come back down, and then you alternate. So the feeling is you're stretching your arm as far away from you as you can. You're keeping your shoulders and hips parallel to one another, and your shoulders and hips stay parallel to the floor. You're looking to raise that arm high, but stretch the fingertips away. Again, getting that lengthening in the spine. Tummy muscles tighten as you reach forward. Last one. Okay, so now a bit of coordination. So as I take my left arm away, I take my right leg away, and I engage my core, and I feel that stretch on the diagonal, and then slowly come back down. Now my right arm goes away as my left heel goes away. I stretch, fingertips to heel, come back down. So the idea is you're trying to keep your hips and shoulders parallel to the floor, your core engaged. While the core's engaged, you're also stretching through the spine. And you're trying to stay stable as you can, not load up the wrist that is on the floor. Three more. Last one. And then resting there. Okay, so slowly, slowly up onto your feet. Good. Okay, so standing upright, feet hip width apart. We're just going to still do some work on our spine, but there's these lateral side bends. So we haven't done much in this movement so far. We've worked our spine a lot. We've worked our way up from feet into hips. You're keeping your hips still as you slide the hands down the outside of your leg. Good. And now we're going to push the hip across as you slide the hand even lower down. So the hip goes first of all, that drives the movement. You're trying to stay fairly upright, and by that I mean you don't roll forward. You just imagine you're stuck between those two panes of glass. You push the hips good. Now we add the arm. So the arm goes over the head, you stretch away. Push the hips, arm goes over the head, you stretch away. So how close to your ear can you get that arm? And again, how far can you stretch that arm away? Reaching the fingertips down to the outside of the leg, pushing those hips as far across as you can. 3 more. Good, last one. Well done. Okay, so keeping those feet hip width apart, we're going to cross the hands over in front of us, so into a bit of a squat. We then drive up with the legs and we lean back. So again, we're squatting down. So now we're really looking to work that spine again, but in a different way. We're stretching all the way from our waist to our rib cage, flexing the spine, driving up. And to that, we're going to add rotation. So I cross over, I rotate to my left, lean back, cross over, rotate to my right, lean back. So each time you cross over your arms, try and change which arm is in front and which arm is behind. Good, and we're just squatting down, driving with the legs, rotating, opening out. 3 more. Good. Last one. Good, and then rest. Okay, so let's just finish off rolling our shoulders backwards. So big circles again. Try and keep those arms straight and get that movement from your shoulders. So we've pretty much taken your spine through all the movements the spine should have done. We've woken it up, so hopefully you're feeling invigorated, ready to put a good hard shift in today at the office. Then change directions. Roll forward. Good. 2 more. Good, now bring those shoulders up into your ears, drop down, again, shoulders up into ears, drop down. 2 more. Good, and then rest. Okay, thank you again for taking part. Hope you have a good day, hope you enjoyed that. See you all next week. Thank you so much.